The HOA president handed me a folder that would destroy my life. Inside were official government documents declaring my 2-acre garden, 5 years of sweat, soil, and memories of my late grandfather, was now a federally protected historic site. I had 90 days to bulldoze everything or face prosecution. But something felt wrong. This designation appeared overnight with no public hearings, no warnings, just her cold smile and 2 lawyers backing her play. So I called the surveyor listed on her documents. His office had 0 record of visiting my property. The archaeologist whose signature authenticated the heritage assessment, she'd never even heard of my land. That's when I knew. This wasn't preservation. This was systematic theft. What I uncovered next triggered an FBI investigation that exposed a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise involving forged federal documents, shell companies, and 8 other stolen properties. Stay until the end to see how the entire conspiracy collapsed, and drop a comment with your location so we can map just how widespread HOA corruption really is. I'm standing in the center of 2 acres of pure peace. My hands are covered in soil. Rich, dark, alive. Around me, terraced vegetable beds climb the gentle slope like natural stairs. Heirloom tomatoes hang heavy on wooden trellises I built with my own hands. Basil, thyme, and rosemary perfume the air so thick I can taste it. Behind me, Lake Cascade glitters through stands of Douglas fir. The mountains rise green and ancient, wrapped in morning mist that hasn't burned off yet. This is Cascade Ridge, Washington. This is the American dream I bought with every dollar from selling my Seattle tech startup at 34. This garden isn't just land. It's a promise. My grandfather raised me in Georgia after my parents died, taught me to read soil, to understand seasons, to respect what grows. When cancer took him 5 years ago, I held his hand and swore I'd build something beautiful, something that would last. This garden is that promise, kept. Every bed, every plant, every stone pathway. 5 years of composting, planting, pruning, learning. The HOA knew about it from day one. I submitted plans. Got approval. President Sharon Blackwood even stopped by during last summer's community barbecue, admiring my raised beds with that bright smile of hers. "This is absolutely gorgeous," she'd said, touching the lavender. "You're making the whole neighborhood look good." I believed her. But this morning, everything changes. I'm harvesting zucchini. The plants are exploding with fruit when I hear gravel crunching in my driveway. A black Lexus. Expensive. Out of place. Sharon Blackwood steps out. She's wearing that same smile from the barbecue. But it's different now. Colder. Sharper. 2 men emerge behind her. Blazers. Clipboards. Official badges clipped to belts. My stomach tightens. "We need to talk about your garden," Sharon calls out. I walk toward them, zucchini still in my hands. "What about it?" She doesn't waste time. Hands me a folder. Thick. Heavy. Legal papers inside. I open it. The words don't make sense at first. Historic Cultural Preservation Zone. Federal Heritage Designation. Immediate cessation of agricultural activity. My brain short circuits. What is this? Sharon's voice is measured. Practiced. It turns out this land is a registered historic site. Native American heritage. We're legally obligated to preserve it in its natural state, which means your garden violates both federal and HOA regulations. I stare at her. The lake breeze suddenly feels ice cold against my skin. That's impossible. I had full surveys done before I bought. Old surveys, she interrupts smoothly. New information has come to light. Archaeological significance that wasn't documented before. One of the men behind her, the taller one with the dead eyes, smirks. Just slightly. Just enough for me to see it. "You have 90 days to restore this land to its natural state," Sharon continues. "Remove all structures, plants, and modifications. Return it to native vegetation." My throat closes. 90 days to destroy 5 years of work. Federal law, she says, tapping the folder. "We don't make the rules. We just enforce them." She turns to leave. The 2 men follow. "Wait. Who determined this designation? When was it filed? Where's the documentation?" Sharon pauses at her car door. "It's all in the folder. You'll find everything properly authenticated and notarized. If you have questions, contact your lawyer." The Lexus pulls away. I stand alone in my garden. The folder trembles in my hands. 90 days to destroy my grandfather's promise. What new information? Why now? And why do I feel like I just got set up for the biggest fight of my life? Historic Cultural Preservation Zone. Federal Heritage Designation. Immediate cessation of agricultural activity. My brain short circuits. What is this? Sharon's voice is measured. Practiced. It turns out this land is a registered historic site. Native American heritage. We're legally obligated to preserve it in its natural state, which means your garden violates both federal and HOA regulations. I stare at her. The lake breeze suddenly feels ice cold against my skin. That's impossible. I had full surveys done before I bought. Old surveys, she interrupts smoothly. New information has come to light. Archaeological significance that wasn't documented before. One of the men behind her, the taller one with the dead eyes, smirks. Just slightly. Just enough for me to see it. You have 90 days to restore this land to its natural state, Sharon continues. Remove all structures, plants, and modifications. Return it to native vegetation. My throat closes. 90 days to destroy 5 years of work. Federal law, she says, tapping the folder. We don't make the rules. We just enforce them. She turns to leave. The two men follow. Wait, who determined this designation? When was it filed? Where's the documentation? Sharon pauses at her car door. It's all in the folder. You'll find everything properly authenticated and notarized. If you have questions, contact your lawyer. The Lexus pulls away. I stand alone in my garden. The folder trembles in my hands. 90 days to destroy my grandfather's promise. What new information? Why now? And why do I feel like I just got set up for the biggest fight of my life? Part 2. The accusations. I'm sitting at my kitchen table at 2 in the morning. Can't sleep. Can't think straight. The folder is spread open in front of me. Coffee's gone cold in my cup. My hands won't stop shaking. Historic Cultural Preservation Zone. Parcel 447B. Mandatory restoration to natural state within 90 days. Failure to comply will result in daily fines of $1,000 and potential federal prosecution. Federal prosecution. For growing vegetables. I pull up my original purchase documents on my laptop. The land survey from 2019. Professional. Detailed. Environmental impact assessment. Clear. Archaeological clearance. Approved. Nothing about historic designation. Nothing about Native American heritage. Nothing. I call the county records office first thing in the morning. The woman who answers sounds bored until I explain what I'm looking for. A historic site designation on your property? Let me check. Keyboard clicking. Long pause. Sir, I'm showing no historic designation on parcel 447B. Are you sure you have the right parcel number? I read it back to her. Twice. Nothing in our system, she confirms. If there was a federal heritage designation, it would absolutely be recorded here. We're required by law to maintain those records. My heart pounds. So this designation doesn't exist? Not in our database. You might want to contact whoever gave you that information. Oh, I will. I drive straight to the HOA office, a renovated farmhouse at the subdivision entrance. Flower boxes. White picket fence. Looks friendly. It's not. Sharon's assistant Emily is at the front desk. 20-something. Nervous energy. Won't meet my eyes when I walk in. I need to see Sharon. Now. She's in meetings all day. Then I need the source documents for this historic designation. The original filing. Federal authentication. All of it. Emily's face goes pale. That's confidential HOA business. It's my property. You'll need to submit a formal records request. In writing. 4 to 6 weeks processing time. My vision blurs red. 6 weeks? I have 90 days to tear down my entire garden, and you're telling me I have to wait 6 weeks just to see the documents. Those are the procedures. This is my land. Emily flinches. But she doesn't budge. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. I leave before I lose control completely. That evening, I'm standing in my garden staring at the tomatoes when my neighbor Tim appears at the fence line. Tim's good people. Retired Forest Service. Lived here 15 years. Keeps to himself, but always waves. He looks worried. I heard what Sharon's doing, he says quietly. The historic site thing. You know about it? Whole neighborhood's talking. He glances around like someone might be listening. You should know something. Sharon tried to buy your land last year. Before you even moved in. Made an offer to the previous owner, way below market value. He refused. My blood runs cold. She tried to buy my property? Yeah. Got pretty pushy about it too. Then suddenly he sold to you instead. Tim leans closer. Now, 1 year later, your land's magically a historic site that has to be demolished. The pieces click together. This isn't about heritage preservation. This isn't about federal law. This is about Sharon Blackwood stealing my land. And she's using forged government documents to do it. I don't sleep for the next 72 hours. Just research. Coffee. Rage. My laptop screen burns into my retinas as I dig through federal databases, archaeological records, heritage preservation protocols. Here's what I learn. Registering a historic site isn't something that happens overnight. It requires federal approval, public hearings, community input, documented archaeological evidence, environmental impact studies. The process takes years, not months, years. Sharon's documents claim the designation was filed and approved 2 months ago, but there were no public hearings, no community notices, no environmental reviews, nothing in the county records, nothing in the federal heritage database. This designation doesn't exist, except Sharon has papers. Official-looking papers with government seals, surveyor signatures, archaeological assessments stamped and notarized. Where did she get this? I find the surveyor's name on page 3, Marcus Webb, licensed land surveyor, Washington State. His office number is listed. I call. A woman answers. Webb Surveying, how can I help you? I need to verify a survey Marcus completed on my property earlier this year. Sure, what's the address? I give her my address in Cascade Ridge. Keyboard clicking. Pause. More clicking. Sir, we don't have any records of surveys in Cascade Ridge. When did you say this was completed? 2 months ago. The document says Marcus personally surveyed the land and identified it as a historic site. Long silence. That's impossible. Marcus keeps meticulous logs of every site visit. We have nothing for Cascade Ridge since 2021, and he certainly wouldn't have done a heritage assessment. That's not even his specialty. My hands are shaking. Are you absolutely certain? Completely certain. If you have a document claiming otherwise, someone's using Marcus's name without authorization. That's identity theft. I thank her and hang up. The survey is forged. I'm photographing every page of Sharon's folder, creating backups, cloud storage, everything, when my phone buzzes. Unknown number. I answer. Hello. Stop digging. A man's voice. Rough. Threatening. Sell the property to Mrs. Blackwood. Take the offer. Walk away. My heart hammers. Who is this? This is your only warning. Are you threatening? Click. He's gone. I stand in my kitchen, phone trembling in my hand, adrenaline flooding my system. They're threatening me now. Someone's watching me, tracking my calls, knows I'm investigating. I look out my window at the garden, the tomatoes, the terraced beds, my grandfather's promise, 5 years of my life, and they think I'll just walk away? I grab my laptop. Time to go to war. I need proof. Hard, undeniable proof that Sharon fabricated these documents. Because right now it's my word against official-looking papers. And official-looking papers win in court. First target, Marcus Webb himself. I drive 3 hours to Spokane. His office is in a strip mall, modest, professional, American flag in the window. I walk in unannounced carrying Sharon's survey. Marcus Webb is exactly what you'd expect from a lifetime surveyor. Weathered face, 60-something, flannel shirt, suspicious eyes that have seen every kind of property dispute. Can I help you? I put the survey on his desk. Did you sign this? He picks it up, reads. His face darkens with every line. Where did you get this? HOA president gave it to me. Says you surveyed my land and identified it as a historic heritage site. Marcus's jaw clenches. I didn't sign this. That's not my signature. You're certain? He pulls out his actual signature from a file cabinet. Holds them side by side. They're not even close. Whoever forged this doesn't know what they're doing. Marcus says, anger rising in his voice. These grid coordinates are wrong. The elevation markers are wrong. The legal description uses outdated terminology. This is amateur work. He photographs the document with his phone. This is fraud. Identity theft. I'm calling my lawyer and the state licensing board immediately. Someone's using my name to commit crimes. One down. I drive back to Seattle. Next target. Dr. Rebecca Hartley, the archaeologist listed on Sharon's heritage assessment. According to the document, she personally certified my land as a significant Native American cultural site. I find her at the University of Washington. Her office is buried in the archaeology department. Books stacked everywhere, artifacts on shelves, The organized chaos of academic life. Dr. Hartley is younger than I expected. Sharp eyes. No-nonsense energy. I show her the assessment bearing her name. She reads it, frowning, then laughing, but not amused. Furious. "This is complete garbage," she says, flipping pages. "Completely fabricated. I've never heard of Cascade Ridge. I certainly never certified anything there. And this writing, it's not academic. It's not how real heritage assessments are structured. Look at this methodology section. It's nonsense." She's genuinely angry now. Someone used my name and credentials to create a fake archaeological document. That's identity theft and academic fraud. She makes copies of everything. I'm reporting this to the University Ethics Board, the State Archaeological Society, and probably the FBI. This is serious. 2 down. 2 forged documents. 2 professionals whose identities were stolen. Someone paid for these forgeries. Someone with money and connections. Sharon didn't do this alone. Who's helping her? How deep does this conspiracy go? And how many other families has she done this to? I drive home as the sun sets over the mountains. My phone buzzes. Unknown number again. I don't answer. They've already made their threat. Now I'm making mine. Sharon doesn't wait. 1 week after our confrontation, I find a notice zip-tied to my front door. HOA emergency hearing, mandatory attendance. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Community Center. Subject: unauthorized agricultural operations on protected heritage land and ongoing violations of federal preservation law. She's escalating. Fast. I arrive at the community center at 6:45. The parking lot is already packed. Inside, 50 residents fill folding chairs. The air is thick with tension and whispered conversations that stop when I walk in. Sharon sits at a table at the front of the room. 2 lawyers flank her like attack dogs in expensive suits. She's dressed for war. "Thank you all for coming," Sharon begins, voice dripping with false concern. "This is a difficult situation, but we take our responsibilities as stewards of this community very seriously." She clicks a remote. A projector screen lights up behind her. Photos of my garden appear. My beautiful terraced beds twisted into evidence of destruction. As you can see, this resident has engaged in extensive excavation and agricultural development on land now confirmed to be a federally protected heritage site. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. We have documented evidence of bulldozing, soil removal, and installation of non-native plant species, all of which constitute destruction of sacred ground and potential disturbance of ancestral remains. That's a lie. I'm on my feet. Every head turns. There are no remains. No artifacts. Your entire designation is forged. The room erupts. Neighbors shouting. Confusion. Anger. Sharon's lawyer, a thin man with dead eyes, calls for order. "Please maintain decorum." Sharon's expression doesn't change. Calm. Controlled. "Do you have proof of these allegations?" I pull out my folder. Marcus Webb's statement. Dr. Hartley's affidavit. Phone records showing the surveyor's office has no record of visiting my property. I hold them up for everyone to see. The surveyor whose signature is on your documents never set foot on my land. The archaeologist whose name authenticates your assessment never heard of this property. These are forged federal documents. Sharon doesn't even blink. These are clearly desperate attempts to circumvent federal law. We have authenticated documents from licensed professionals approved by the appropriate authorities, whose signatures are forged, whose identities were stolen. Her lawyer stands. Alleged forgeries. Without a federal investigation and formal finding, these documents stand as legitimate and binding. My stomach drops. They're not denying it. They're just saying I can't prove it fast enough. Sharon leans forward. "You have 60 days remaining to comply with the remediation order. After that, we will seek a court order for immediate removal and begin daily fine assessments of $1,000. The room spins. "Or," she continues, voice soft as a knife, "you could sell the property and avoid all this unpleasantness. I'm sure we could find a buyer willing to take on the restoration burden." There it is. The trap. Destroy my garden or sell to her at a fraction of market value. Either way, she wins. I look around the room. Some neighbors look sympathetic. Others skeptical. Most just confused. No one's going to help me. I'm alone in this. I walk out into the parking lot. The mountain air is cold against my face. 60 days. How do I fight a conspiracy this deep? I'm drowning. Legal consultations are bleeding my bank account dry. $500 an hour to hear lawyers tell me the same thing. Without proof the documents are forged, you'll have to comply or face contempt charges. I'm maxing out credit cards, losing sleep, watching my garden every morning wondering if today's the day I have to destroy it. Then salvation knocks on my door. Margaret Sullivan, 74 years old, lives 3 houses down, silver hair pulled back tight, steel gray eyes that miss nothing. I've seen her walking her corgi past my garden every morning for 5 years. We've exchanged waves, pleasantries about the weather. That's it. But now she's standing on my porch holding a casserole dish in one hand and a manila folder in the other. I've been watching what Sharon's doing to you, she says without preamble. I've seen this playbook before. I invite her in. She sets the casserole down, still warm, and opens the folder. I was a federal prosecutor for 30 years, Margaret says. Specialized in white-collar crime, land fraud, document forgery, racketeering. My heart starts pounding. Sharon's done this before, she continues, spreading documents across my kitchen table. 2 years ago, elderly man named Martin Thompson. Lived alone. No family. Had a beautiful lakefront lot, prime real estate. She shows me photocopies. HOA violation notices. Technical violations of setback requirements. Threatened fines. Legal pressure. The documentation was questionable even then, Margaret says. Measurements that didn't quite add up. Regulations cited that didn't seem to apply. But Martin was 86 and terrified. He sold. To Sharon. To her son-in-law. Through an LLC. Paid $400,000 for a lot worth at least $900,000. 8 months later, the son-in-law flipped it for $1.2 million. I feel sick. She's been stealing land. She's been running a criminal enterprise disguised as HOA management, Margaret corrects. And you're her latest target. She opens another section of her folder. Financial records. Property transfers. LLC formations. Shell companies. I didn't have enough evidence before, Margaret admits. Martin wouldn't talk to me. He just wanted it over. But now, with your forged federal documents, the stolen surveyor identity, the fake archaeological assessment, we have a pattern. We have multiple victims. We have a prosecutable case. She looks at me hard, those steel gray eyes seeing right through to my spine. But going after Sharon means going federal. FBI. U.S. Attorney. This gets big and it gets public. Your life becomes an investigation. Are you ready for that? I think about my grandfather. His rough hands teaching mine how to plant. His voice in my head every morning when I work the soil. I think about Martin Thompson. 86 and alone and bullied out of his home. I think about how many others Sharon's done this to. How many more she'll do it to if someone doesn't stop her. I meet Margaret's eyes. Let's destroy her. Margaret smiles. It's not a kind smile. It's the smile of a prosecutor who just found her case. Then let's get to work. My dining room transforms into a war room overnight. Whiteboards cover the walls. Timelines. Document trails. Photographs connected with red string like something from a crime thriller. Except this is real. Margaret and I work 18-hour days. Coffee keeps us functional. Rage keeps us focused. We need to map every property she's touched, Margaret says, marking locations on a subdivision map spread across my table. We start pulling county records. Property transfers. HOA violation files going back 6 years. The pattern emerges like a nightmare coming into focus. 8 properties in Cascade Ridge have been reclaimed through various violations over Sharon's tenure as president. Property 1, architectural noncompliance. Sold below market. Property 2, setback violations. Sold below market. Property 3, environmental concerns. Sold below market. Martin Thompson's lakefront lot, violation of easement agreements. Sold below market. Now mine, fake historic designation. Pressure to sell below market. Every single property sold to connected buyers. Family members. Shell companies with names like Ridgeview Holdings LLC and Cascade Properties Incorporated. Every single property resold within 2 years at massive profit. We're looking at millions in systematic fraud. Here's the smoking gun, Margaret says, sliding a document across the table at midnight. It's a legal filing from 3 years ago. Different property, different victim, but the same lawyer drafted the violation notice. James Mitchell, prestigious Seattle firm. His name appears on Sharon's fake historic designation too. I know this name, Margaret says, eyes narrowing. She pulls up her laptop, searches legal databases. There, James Mitchell. Disbarred in Oregon 15 years ago for forging court documents in a land dispute case. Somehow got relicensed in Washington under a suspended sentence. My blood runs cold. He's dirty. He's a professional forger, Margaret corrects. And he's been Sharon's lawyer for every single property grab. We have Sharon. We have Mitchell. We have the pattern. We have the shell companies. But we need the actual forger. The person who created the fake documents. I remember the threatening phone call. The rough voice. Stop digging. Someone's watching me. I tell Margaret. Someone local. They knew I was investigating. Margaret's prosecutor instincts kick in. She calls a friend, former FBI, retired but still connected. If someone's surveilling you, let's find out who. We install cameras around my property. Motion sensors. Trail cams in the woods borrowed from Tim next door. For 3 nights, nothing. Then on night 4, the motion sensor pings at 2:17 a.m. I check the feed on my phone. A truck, dark color, sitting at the end of my driveway. Headlights off, just watching my house. My heart hammers. Margaret's next to me. She's been sleeping in my guest room, working the case around the clock. Get the plate number, she whispers. I zoom in. The image is grainy but readable. Washington plates. I write down the number. The truck sits there for 40 minutes, then pulls away slowly. No hurry. No concern about being seen. Confident. Margaret runs the plate through her FBI contact in the morning. The truck is registered to Mitchell's law firm. They're not even hiding it anymore, Margaret says. They think they're untouchable. She looks at me. We've got conspiracy now. Document forgery. Identity theft. Witness intimidation. Interstate fraud through the shell companies. Her eyes gleam with prosecutorial fire. It's time to call the feds. I look out at my garden. The morning sun hitting the tomato plants. 5 years of work Sharon tried to steal. Make the call. Margaret picks up her phone. I know exactly who to contact. This is about to go federal. And Sharon Blackwood has no idea what's coming. FBI Seattle Field Office. 23rd floor. Conference room with a view of Elliott Bay. I never thought I'd be here. Margaret sits beside me. Calm. Professional. In her element. Special Agent Carlos Rodriguez enters. Mid-30s. Sharp suit. Eyes that calculate everything. He's brought a junior agent and a legal pad filled with notes. Ms. Sullivan, he greets Margaret. They clearly know each other from her prosecutor days. Carlos, thanks for taking this meeting. He sits across from us. You said racketeering. Walk me through it. Margaret doesn't waste time. She spreads our evidence across the conference table like a card dealer showing a royal flush. Forged federal documents. Identity theft of licensed professionals. Pattern of property fraud across 6 years. 8 properties. Shell companies. Financial transfers totaling millions. Rodriguez leans back in his chair. Studies the documents. Silence stretches for 30 seconds. 40. A full minute. Then, this is RICO. These are predicate offenses. My heart pounds. So you'll investigate? I'm interested, Rodriguez says carefully. But right now this looks like civil fraud. Real estate disputes. I need evidence of interstate wire fraud, conspiracy, ongoing criminal enterprise. I need recordings. Financial transfers. Communications proving coordination between Sharon Blackwood and her co-conspirators. Margaret nods. She expected this. We can get that. Rodriguez assigns a forensic accountant to trace Sharon's shell companies. Follow the money. If these LLCs are moving funds across state lines, that's federal jurisdiction. He looks at me. Meanwhile, I need you to keep gathering evidence. But carefully. Do not confront Blackwood directly. Do not tell anyone outside this room about federal involvement. If she knows we're investigating, she'll destroy evidence and lawyer up immediately. I understand. I stay quiet. Keep fighting through the HOA process publicly. Exactly. You're still the victim trying to save his garden. That's your cover. He slides a card across the table. Anything changes, you call me immediately. We leave the FBI building as the sun sets over Puget Sound. I'm living a double life now. Publicly, fighting Sharon through HOA channels, submitting appeals, playing the desperate homeowner. Privately, wearing a wire to every interaction. Documenting everything. Building a federal case. Sharon gets more aggressive. 2 weeks after the FBI meeting, she files for an emergency restraining order claiming I'm harassing and threatening her by repeatedly requesting public HOA documents. The motion is garbage. Any judge will see through it. But it's a warning shot. She knows I'm not backing down. The hearing is scheduled. I show up with a lawyer, paid for by maxing out my last credit card. The judge denies Sharon's restraining order in under 5 minutes. Requesting public documents is not harassment, counselor. Motion denied. Sharon's face goes red. She storms out of the courtroom without a word. That night, Rodriguez calls. We've traced $3.2 million through Blackwood's shell companies over the past 6 years. Wire transfers. LLC formations across Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. We've got her on federal wire fraud charges. My hands shake. So you can arrest her? Not yet. We need one more thing. His voice hardens. We need her to incriminate herself on tape. We need her admitting to the fraud, the forgeries, the coordination with Mitchell. Can you do that? I look out my kitchen window at the garden. The tomatoes are ripening. The basil is thick and fragrant. My grandfather's promise is alive out there. What do you need me to do? Wear a wire. Get her talking. Make her think you're giving up. Willing to deal. I close my eyes. This is it. The final play. When do we start? Rodriguez's voice is steady. Tomorrow. I'll have the equipment ready. I hang up. Tomorrow I walk into Sharon Blackwood's house wearing an FBI wire. Tomorrow I get her confession. Or I lose everything. The FBI wire is smaller than I expected. Rodriguez tapes it to my chest in an unmarked van parked 2 blocks from Sharon's house. The tech is cold against my skin. Just get her talking, Rodriguez instructs. Act defeated. Willing to make a deal. Let her think she's won. What if she searches me? She won't. She's arrogant. She thinks you're beaten. I hope he's right. My heart hammers so hard I'm certain the microphone's picking up every beat. I walk up Sharon's driveway at exactly 3 p.m. as arranged. Her house overlooks the lake. Massive windows, perfect landscaping, the kind of home bought with stolen money. She answers the door herself. Surprise flickers across her face. We have nothing to discuss unless it's through lawyers. I want to make a deal. That stops her cold. Suspicion and curiosity war in her expression. What kind of deal? I'll sell you the property. Below market. Just make this nightmare go away. She studies me. I make sure I look defeated, shoulders slumped, exhausted eyes, the weight of someone who's been ground down. It's not hard to fake. I am exhausted. Slowly, she smiles. Come inside. Her living room is pristine. Expensive leather furniture. Abstract art on the walls. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing the lake view. This is what my land paid for. How much do you want? Sharon asks, pouring herself wine. She doesn't offer me any. $400,000. The property's worth $750, but I just want out. She sips. Considering. That seems reasonable, given the complications with the heritage designation. About that designation, I say carefully. How did you even discover it? I mean, there was nothing when I bought the land 5 years ago. Sharon waves dismissively. We have connections. People who know how to research these things properly. Things get missed in standard title searches. Like your lawyer? Mitchell. Her eyes sharpen. Warning bells. Mitchell is very thorough, she says slowly. And the surveyor? Webb. What are you getting at? I need her to say it. Need her to admit the conspiracy. I just want to understand how this all happened so fast. Federal heritage designations usually take years of review. Sometimes things can be expedited. Her smile is razor thin. When you know the right people. When you have the right incentives. There. Admission of corruption. But not enough. Rodriguez needs more. So the designation isn't exactly official? Sharon sets down her wine glass. The temperature in the room drops 20 degrees. Are you wearing a wire? My blood freezes. What? No, I just... She stands. Walks toward me. Eyes locked on mine like a predator. You're asking very specific questions. You're trying to get me to admit something. I'm just trying to understand. Get out. Sharon, get out of my house. I move toward the door. She's faster. Blocks my path. Pulls out her phone. James. James. She's screaming into it now. He's FBI. They know everything. We need to. The front door explodes open. FBI agents flood the room. Vests, weapons drawn, voices shouting commands. FBI. Hands where we can see them. Sharon drops the phone. Her face crumbles. Color drains away. Rodriguez enters behind his team. Calm. Professional. Sharon Blackwood, you're under arrest for federal racketeering, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and identity theft. He cuffs her while reading Miranda rights. She's crying now. Mascara streaming down her face. You can't prove anything. My lawyers. Your lawyer is being arrested right now, Rodriguez says, along with 3 of his associates. It's over, Mrs. Blackwood. She looks at me, pure hatred burning through tears. You've ruined everything. No, Sharon. You ruined everything. You just got caught. The next 72 hours are chaos. Coordinated FBI raids across 3 states. Sharon arrested. James Mitchell arrested at his Seattle office, trying to delete files when agents breached the door. 4 of Mitchell's associates arrested, including the forger who created the fake documents. Turns out he's Mitchell's brother-in-law, former graphic designer who specialized in document restoration. Reality, he specialized in fraud. They find him in Portland trying to board a flight to Vancouver. No extradition from Canada. He almost made it. The news explodes. HOA president arrested in multi-million-dollar land fraud scheme. Local stations camp outside Cascade Ridge. Helicopters circle overhead. Reporters knock on doors. My phone rings nonstop. News requests. Interview offers. True crime podcasts wanting exclusive stories. I ignore all of it. Margaret appears on my porch that evening with champagne. Her corgi, Winston, wagging beside her. We did it, she says simply. We stand in my garden watching the sun set over the lake. The tomatoes are perfect. The basil fragrant. Everything my grandfather taught me is alive here. Federal prosecutors offered Sharon a deal, Margaret tells me. 20 years reduced to 12 if she provides full cooperation and financial restitution. Did she take it? This morning. She's already started naming names. And what names they are. Appraisers she bribed to undervalue properties. County clerks who looked the other way on questionable filings. A state legislator who received $30,000 in campaign donations from one of Sharon's shell companies. Donations made 2 weeks before he voted against HOA oversight legislation. The corruption runs deeper than anyone imagined. 8 families whose land was stolen start reclamation lawsuits. Martin Thompson's daughter calls me, crying with relief. We thought Dad was losing his mind, she sobs. We thought the violations were real. We thought we were helping him by convincing him to sell. Now they're getting their justice too. The HOA dissolves entirely. Emergency election. New board. First order of business. Voiding every violation Sharon ever issued. Every single one. Reviewed by independent lawyers and thrown out. My historic designation. Formally revoked by federal authorities with an official apology letter from the Department of Interior. The letter sits framed in my kitchen. Reminder that sometimes the good guys win. I'm standing in my garden on a Saturday morning, checking the tomatoes, when Tim walks over from next door. You saved us, he says quietly. All of us. We just didn't know we needed saving. Other neighbors stopped by throughout the day. Apologies for not believing me. Thank yous for fighting when they couldn't. One woman brings homemade bread. Sharon threatened my fence last year. Said it violated some obscure regulation. I tore it down rather than fight. Now I know it was just another shakedown. Stories pour out. Years of small injustices. Petty tyrannies. Fear-based compliance. All ended because one person refused to back down. My grandfather would be proud. No. My grandfather is proud. I can feel it every time I touch this soil. 6 months later, I'm sitting in federal court. The gallery is packed. News cameras line the back wall. Sketch artists work frantically. Sharon sits at the defense table in prison orange. Diminished. Small. Nothing like the woman who stood in my garden with forged documents and a predator's smile. She won't look at me. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Amanda Chun, calls me to the stand. I'm sworn in. And on the Bible. The whole American justice system focused on this moment. Mr. Hayes, Chun begins. Can you describe what you almost lost? I look at the jury. 12 faces. 12 Americans who understand what land means. What home means. My grandfather taught me that land remembers. I say. He taught me that when you grow something with your own hands, you're making a promise to the future. You're saying this will outlast me. This matters. My voice doesn't shake. Not anymore. Sharon Blackwood tried to steal that promise. She tried to erase 5 years of my life. She tried to take something that can't be valued in dollars. Heritage, memory, purpose. I look at Sharon now. She's staring at the table. But she failed. Because some things can't be stolen. Integrity, truth, the willingness to fight for what's right even when you're alone and outgunned and terrified. The jury watches Sharon. She still won't look up. She didn't just come after me. She came after 8 families. Elderly people. People without resources to fight. She weaponized the HOA, something meant to protect communities, and turned it into a criminal enterprise. Chun lets the silence hang. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. The trial lasts 3 weeks. Testimony from Marcus Webb. Dr. Hartley. Margaret. FBI forensic accountants walking through shell companies and wire transfers. The evidence is overwhelming. Verdict comes back in 4 hours. Guilty on all 18 counts. Federal racketeering. Wire fraud. Conspiracy. Identity theft. Document forgery. Sharon's face is stone when the verdict is read. No tears now. Just empty defeat. Sentencing is 2 months later. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, doesn't mince words. Mrs. Blackwood, you betrayed the trust of your community. You weaponized your position to systematically defraud vulnerable people. You showed no remorse until you were caught. The damage you've caused is incalculable. 15 years federal prison. James Mitchell gets 12 years. The forger gets 8. Mitchell's associates get sentences ranging from 3 to 6 years. Restitution, $4.7 million to be split among victims. I don't want Sharon's money. Can't stomach the thought of profiting from her crimes. I donate my entire share to a legal defense fund for homeowners fighting HOA abuse. $300,000. Enough to help dozens of families. My grandfather's promise keeps growing. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm. Microphones. Cameras. Questions shouted over each other. I give one statement. This isn't just my victory. This is for everyone who's ever been bullied by people in power. Stand your ground. Document everything. And never, ever back down. That night, I'm back in my garden. The stars are brilliant above the mountains. The lake is glass smooth. Everything is quiet and perfect and mine. 5 years of work. Nearly stolen. Now protected forever. I plant new seeds by moonlight. Tomorrow's promise. 1 year later, Cascade Ridge is unrecognizable. The fear is gone. New families move in every month. Young couples. Retirees. People looking for the dream we were promised. The community center hosts actual community events now, not kangaroo courts. Potlucks. Kids' movie nights. Garden workshops I teach on weekends. My garden has become something bigger than I imagined. People visit from all over Washington. They walk the terraced beds, smell the herbs, ask questions about soil composition and companion planting and how to start their own gardens. But mostly they ask about the fight. How did you keep going when everyone said you'd lose? I tell them the truth. Because some things are worth fighting for. And backing down only teaches bullies they can win. I've added a new section to the garden. Native plants. A stone bench overlooking the lake. A bronze plaque embedded in granite. For Granddad, who taught me to dig deep and never surrender. Some promises can't be broken. Margaret visits every Sunday. We drink coffee on my porch and watch the morning mist burn off the mountains. You changed this place, she says one morning. Not just by stopping Sharon. By showing people they have power. 3 other HOAs in the county have dissolved in the past year. Residents taking back control. Electing honest boards. Rewriting bylaws to prevent abuse. The ripple effect of one person standing firm. Tim from next door rebuilt his fence. The one Sharon made him tear down. He made it higher this time. Painted it bright red. Let them try to tell me it violates something, he laughs. Martin Thompson's family reclaimed his lakefront lot. His daughter and grandkids built a house there. Named it Thompson's Stand. 7 other families are in various stages of legal reclamation. The law firm handling their cases? Working pro bono, funded by my donation. My grandfather's promise keeps spreading. I'm harvesting tomatoes on a Saturday morning. The plants are obscenely productive this year. When a car pulls up. Young couple. Mid-20s. Nervous smiles. Are you the guy who fought the HOA? The woman asks. I nod. We're looking at buying here. But we heard the stories. Is it safe now? I look at my garden. The terraces. The thriving beds. The mountain view. It's safe, I tell them. Because people stood up. Because we didn't let bullies win. The young man extends his hand. Thank you. Seriously. You made it possible for people like us to have a chance. They leave. I watch their car disappear down the road. That's the real victory. Not Sharon in prison. Not the money recovered. The victory is this. People believing they can stand against injustice and win. The sun climbs higher. I've got work to do. Pruning, staking, harvesting. My phone buzzes. Email notification. Subject, your story saved my home. It's from someone in Ohio. They watched news coverage of my case, used the same strategies, documenting everything, finding experts, refusing to back down. Their HOA tried to force them out over fake violations. They won. I smile. My grandfather's promise isn't just growing in my garden anymore. It's growing everywhere. In every person who decides that enough is enough. In every family that refuses to be bullied. In every community that chooses justice over corruption. I kneel in the soil, rich, dark, alive with everything my grandfather taught me. Some things can't be stolen. Integrity, purpose, the courage to fight when everything says you'll lose. And some promises can't be broken. Not by threats. Not by forged documents. Not by people who think power makes them untouchable. I plant new seeds. Tomorrow's harvest. My grandfather taught me well. The land remembers. And so do I. If this story moved you, if it made you angry at injustice or inspired you to stand your ground, do me a favor, drop a comment, and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know how far this message reaches. From someone fighting their own HOA battle in Texas to someone dealing with corrupt officials in Maine, your story matters. Your location tells us this isn't isolated. This is everywhere. And knowing we're not alone in these fights, that's how we win. So comment below. City, state, country, wherever you are. Let's map the resistance. Let's show that standing your ground isn't just one person's story. It's all of ours.